I'm going to show you how I generated $15.6 million in revenue from scratch in my real business in 4 years, and how you can too. And what you're going to realize is this is so much simpler than people think it really is. There's no secrets. There's nothing crazy I'm going to tell you. It's going to be the black and white truth. And this is something I've been waiting to do for so long, for so long. And the reason why is I wanted to be a behind the scenes CEO. Let me give context of what that means for me, because it's going to tell you everything you need to know about myself for the content that I'm creating. I wanted to be the guy who first took the time to build a business. I wanted to be businessman first, so that when I start creating content like this, it wouldn't only apply to coaching that I created essentially. Like, I'm going to create a course that'll teach you how to go create a big business. That's not what any of this is about. I don't offer that as a service. In fact, the only service I'm going to offer B2B is helping people implant employees in their business to do stuff that I hire my employees for, right? And that I train my students on for software engineering, for marketing, for technical partner systems, everything along those lines. And I'm going to literally show you proof everything, because I believe transparency is the most important thing in 2024 and onwards. Nobody's honest, like at the end of the day, right? So I'm just going to stop talking for a moment, and I'm going to transition over, show proof, and then we'll get to know each other a little bit more. So I'm using this really cool software called ScalaDraw here. And again, how I generated $15.6 million in sales from scratch in 4 years, and how you can too. So let me give you a brief of the past 4 years I'm talking about. 2019, business started. We do about 200,000 in revenue. 2020, 400,000 in revenue. 2021, 1.2 million, 2022, 7.6 million, and 2023, 5.955 million. A big step back. I'm going to even talk about that in later videos and exactly what happened there. And here's the literal proof. Now, I took a screenshot when I realized a screenshot shouldn't be enough for you, right? Because guess what? People can fake screenshots. I'm just going to show you our QuickBooks because nobody does that. I'm not going to show you a bunch of different bank accounts. I'm just going to show you the QuickBooks, the actual proof of what's happening there. So here it is. From 2019 to February 2nd, 2024, $15.6 million in revenue. Of course, I'm going to blur out everything else, but there's the behind the scenes, black and white, simple as that. And here's the funny thing that I want to talk about real quickly. And this is what we get mixed up with all the gurus online wanting to give you advice. And this video, by the way, is specifically built for small to medium-sized businesses wanting to grow their business, right? Who are looking for individuals to come in. They're looking for employees. They're looking for technical employees. They're looking for software engineers. They're looking for marketers. They're looking for sales reps. They're looking to grow their team. They're looking to master their offering. That's what this is for, because this is a new offer I'm going to talk about a little bit later. But most importantly here, most people that show you this stuff, they're showing you their billables, right? They're not showing you the reality of how much they made. That's just their billables, right? They include in their payment plans that they wrote out that people are never going to pay out on, right? This is money in the bank, cash collected. Now, I'm going to open up our HubSpot real briefly. That's how much we've actually billed out, right? $17.9 million in about 4 years. Yeah. The reason why I waited this long to make a video like this is because when I come out swinging, I want it to be haymakers. Because what I found, everybody who's telling you they're doing 50 million plus, they're doing solar cells, they're including client sales. Most people, next to nobody who's making online advice right now, has done this with a real company. What I mean by that, we have over 30, I believe it's 30 at the last time I checked. We have 3 new individuals starting in the next 2 weeks. We have over 30 full-time employees, benefits, everything across the board. We don't cheap out and not give them health insurance. We cover 75% or 70% of the overall health insurance premium. We take care of our employees, right? Because it's an integrity and character thing on my end. I want employees who want to work here. So the reason why I'm making this video, you don't see me wearing crazy Gucci clothes and all of that stuff, is because it's not the reality, right? I don't have the money for it. It's all going into the business, right? And I'll even tell you that actually there's so much more behind the scenes that we're going to talk about in future videos. what it's like getting your first deal for a business done, right? What it's like stepping into a business, scaling it. And we're going to talk right now about how this was possible. So I'm going to go back over here. Now that you have some context, right? You have some context to who I am. I'm a real CEO with real employees that work for me, right? That has a real product and offering that's helping the world. This isn't a course to teach people how to build their business. It's none of those things, right? So whenever and everything I'm speaking about, these are real things that I'm using on a daily basis to build my business. The real problems I'm facing, right? Having to manage people, having to work with employees who aren't doing great, how to train people, how to hold people accountable, which is really, really hard in the real world. And I'm going to show you everything that I've learned across this journey. So now let's go back to the initial part. How I generated this 15.6 million in revenue and how you can too, and what the business plan looks like. So coming back over here, I do want to show you just some cool points on the journey, right? This is from about 2019, I think. It was a funny time. This is the year that we only did about 200K in revenue. This is in 2022. I took a bunch of our employees on a trip. This is just a couple of the people that went. This is the wife of one of the individuals. We spent I think this was over a 6-figure trip to London for a conference that was over there. These are my first two big hires. This is Connor on the left and Jack on the right. Key employees, right? That's what it's like to build a business, by the way. You have to have your key guys. These are two of my key guys. And this right here is my mentor. Everything that I'm going to be talking about comes from this man, Patrick Bet-David. What I'm going to tell you is that if you want to build a business massive, you have to find mentors that's working the back of your mind. And I'm actually going to show some resources here in a second to really help you out with this. But that's what all this is about, right? Mentorship is everything that you need, not just consulting, but mentorship. People you can approach. Hey, I'm struggling with growing my business right here. I don't know how to onboard our sales reps. Our customer support is slow getting to responses over here. How do I fix this? Compliance isn't good. Legal struggling with this, right? Because as a CEO and a business owner, you have all these things you're trying to manage, right? It's really hard. And quite frankly, for you to make that transition, you can't do it off of hiring people in the Philippines for $5 an hour. You got to build a team around you. And we're actually going to get into that right now. So this is just some cool points along the journey. So here's the business plan, right? Here's how I generated over $15.6 million in revenue from scratch. No investors, no support, all by myself. And how did I do that by myself? As somebody who grew up in West Texas, I don't have an MBA. I don't have any crazy education. I was a director of marketing for a small company before this. I had no formal training. So how is it possible? First and foremost, you stand on the shoulders of the giants that come before you. So this book right here, I want everybody to go buy this if you're watching this. It's called Choose Your Enemies Wisely, Business Planning for the Audacious Few. This gentleman, Patrick Bet-David, I've spent well over 6 figures mentoring and learning from him, right? And the second aspect, which this will go into much more detail. This is a massive notebook I've gone through. It's called Virtual Business Planning Workshop 2023. This is something you can't just go get. There's a way to get the training behind this. It's all online. It's worth it. If you want to figure out how to get it, I can put you in contact with the individual that I work with. Super affordable. It's going to cost you about $1,000, but it'll probably be some of the best money you'll ever spend. Now, how did I take all this information and use it to generate that $15.6 million? And what's important is for you to understand that, you have to understand these 5 moves. My business plan and what helped me generate that 15.6 million can easily be described here, right? So the first thing that you have to do, and I'm going to turn off the view mode here so I can play around here. The first thing that you got to do if you want to be able to build a business like this is you got to be able to master your offer and master yourself, right? So the thing that will get you to probably about 1.2 million in sales is mastering your offer. That's what you're selling, right? Do you have something that's so remarkable that, quite frankly, any idiot can sell it because the value is exceptionally high, right? As a small business owner, right? One of the hardest things is really creating a product that will sell itself almost. That's the first thing you got to do, as well as mastering yourself. A lot of you really have to recognize if you want to build a large business that makes a lot of money, you have to master yourself. For a long time, I didn't play well with others, right? What I mean by that was I didn't know how to manage people, right? I gave some people the most insane comp plans. I have paid employees more money than they've ever been paid in their life who didn't deserve it because I was a nice guy. I didn't know how to say no, right? And I saw all this money coming in. It just made sense to give it out to people, even though they did not deserve near as much money as they got. So that's one of the funny things that you got to realize here. So the first thing is you have to create an offer that is so exceptional and unique, and it creates its own category. And we're going to talk a lot about that in later videos. Category is very specific here, right? Category. You have to be a category king. You have to create something so special that when people see it, they're like, oh my God, that's new. That's a completely new way to go about this. I have to have that, right? If your business doesn't have that, you're not going to be able to scale and you're not going to be able to generate that revenue. Number 2, you have to master reason, logic, and truth. What I mean by this is if you don't have the ability to open up, I use Google Sheets just because I'm a Neanderthal. A lot of people want to use Excel. If you don't have the ability to pull all the numbers on your business, right? If you don't know what all the KPIs are within your business, if you don't know that the most important to seek within business is truth, you're going to fall behind. And what I mean by that is a lot of us get ideas about what we think is best for the business. And I'm actually going to turn off this for a moment. We get these ideas and these laws that we want to create for ourselves because we want to be smart. We want to be unique. We want to have our own vocabulary. What you're going to notice with me is that there's not going to be my own vocabulary. Everything that I'm talking about has been picked up from learning from the best people in the world at what they do, right? Very few things are completely novel to myself because quite frankly, I am just a piece of art built from all of the authors that I have followed before myself. And that's what makes me unique for the most part, right? So what you need to recognize is that you have to be great at thinking logically, right? There's going to be times within your business where you feel like this is the right decision. Well, you need to take a moment to take a step back. Is this the right decision? An example of this, I'm just going to give you a small example. Last year, it was a very painful year. When that big year we had that drop in revenue, I didn't want to lay off employees. I didn't want to pay people less, right? And the longer that I didn't do that because we reached a strategic inflection point within the business, within the financing world, where I had to make a decision and I didn't want to be unliked, to be transparent. I didn't want people to not like me. But the reality is I had to make a decision. So I waited for about 6 months to make a decision, maybe a little even longer. And we blew through nearly 7 figures in savings just because I didn't want to make that decision. And I wanted to hope that people were going to make the right decisions. They're going to grow out of problems and all these things that just didn't happen because I didn't face reality, right? I was facing the wrong way. I was looking at the problem and choosing to look away, right? I was choosing not to recognize it, right? Let's say you get a great offer and it's scaling fast, but you refuse to accept reality. Not only is your business going to fail, you're going to go up in flames and it's going to be incredibly painful. And I will tell you this, the path down, right? You have this fast path up where you're making so much money, especially if your offer's working. If your offer's working, you're going to scale it off paid ads exceptionally fast, right? And what you don't realize is the higher up you go, the further down you will fall. And guess what? You're going to fall substantially faster than how fast you rose. And do not forget that. I felt it. I've experienced it. It is not fun. So going back to this, move 3 is mastering your team. This is what I've achieved a lot of success with that most business owners do not. Most business owners want to do a couple things here, and I'm going to write it out. Most business owners choose money over team. They start making a little bit of money, and what they don't want to do, they don't want to invest that money into the business. And what you have to realize is if you want to be a CEO, if you want to be a business owner, you have to choose what kind of business you want. Do you want a lifestyle business where you're going to essentially run everything with minimal employees whatsoever and minimal deliverables. And you pretty much take all the money from the business and put it in your pocket. There's nothing wrong with that, right? You're not a CEO, right? You're running a lifestyle business and you're not going to ultimately benefit the world. Capitalism was built not for you just to make a shit ton of money. Capitalism is here so you can compete, create something amazing, and employ a ton of people. That's what my heart and my mindset is set on. I want to create a gigantic business that innovates the way education works, that innovates the way that you staff companies, that you recruit individuals. And it's going to require a massive team to do that, which requires leadership, right? You have to be able to recruit people to your mission and your vision. And you have to be able to develop people, which leads to move forward. What systems do you have in place to help you scale? So a great example of this is when you start hiring sales reps, right? Let's say you start hiring a bunch of salespeople. When you initially start hiring a bunch of salespeople, you need scripts, you need a CRM, you need people to understand how to use the CRM because a lot of salespeople are cavemen. They're great with their tongues, but they're not great with understanding technology a lot of the time. Do you have everything they need? Do you have a manual? Do you have the scripts? Do you have everything? Do you have this? Do you have that? What you start realizing is to scale, it requires you to be an incredibly detail-oriented person. I'm not a detail-oriented person. I can get into the weeds, but I don't want to live in the weeds, right? That's why I hired a COO. That's why Jack, who's my right-hand man, is a highly detail-oriented person, right? I know my specialties and I surrounded myself with individuals who are masters at complementing that, right? When you look at how I generated that 15.6 million in revenue, yes, we can get into sales funnels, we can get into strategies, but ultimately it could be broken down very briefly into these 4 things. And we're not even going to cover power plays right now. This is something so advanced that quite frankly, I'm just going to probably pull content from Patrick and recommend a lot of stuff down the road to him on how to do this. Because this is so advanced, I can't even break it down for you on what this does, right? But we're going to go in specifically over the next several videos to cover these 4 aspects, right? Because what I believe is that I'm going to be creating a new type of employee out of Devslopes. These are going to be individuals who will be able to come into your business and build systems of scale, right? Technical partners are individuals who are meant to come into your business and establish all of these automation systems. They set up all the auto texting, all of the AI that you could set up now with automations. There's a lot of amazing stuff that you could hire somebody for as little as $500 a month if you want contracted just for simple projects, or as little as $50,000 to $60,000 a year to come in and take care of all these things for you, right? You're going to be able to hire marketers from Devslopes who will come in, create over 3 to 6 pieces of content for you a day, create completely unique creatives for you for paid ads at an incredibly low cost that will beat every single marketing KPI you've ever had. Those are the things that this channel is about. How we produce those employees and how we place them in companies. And if you're a small to medium-sized business owner, these are the guys you want at your company because they're going to help you make those revenue jumps from 200 to 400 to 1.2 to 7.6 and ultimately not down to 5.9. But even this year, right, 2024 and onwards, we're going to be hitting 6 to 7 million plus guaranteed back out this year with substantially better margins. That's what all this content's going to be about moving forward. It's either going to be for the individual looking to make a career change, who wants to create a better life for themselves, or the business owner, the small to medium-sized business owner who needs automation. He needs systems. He needs skill. He needs help building the team. That's what we're going to be covering. In addition, one thing I love marketing, advertising, and sales. I will be giving away the biggest keys and takeaways that I'm finding. I didn't even talk about how much we've spent in advertising. To generate that 16 million, here's the funny part. Everybody wants to talk about how much money they've spent on paid ads. I think that we maybe spent, actually, I'm going to look at it right here. We spent a fraction of that money on paid ads to get that result. I think we maybe spent 3 to 5 million on paid ads to get that result, right? That's the power. I'm looking at it right now on our P&L. Give me just a moment. We spent $3 million to generate 15.6 million. I don't know the exact conversion on that, but 15.6 divided by 3, a 5.2 ROAS. It's decent. What I want to see that at close to is that 10 to 15 mark, right? But the only way you get there is systems, right? Scale, people, culture, values. This is what this channel will be about. How I'm building this business, and most importantly, how I plan on building a second business that I'm going to make a very big announcement for later on. So, to summarize, my goal is to provide you with insights from a true CEO, high-level, real-world scenario. Not some coach who built a brand with hundreds of thousands of followers who wants to sell you a $2,000 mentorship mastermind. No. Right? Where they're just going to give you a course and never talk to you again. It's not what this is. This is going to be on how I built an 8-figure business, how you can follow in the exact same path, and how we can make it step-by-step achievable. And if you need employees along those lines, we can help you out with that. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. My name is Nathan Savage, and I cannot wait to share more of this journey with you. Have an amazing day.